guys, so we have, and I'm going to be calm here because I'm going to be as calm as I can. Should be used to it. So we have this meandering control system around here. So we just have this meandering control force. Even though you see just two people, that one will stay there because I don't know if the mobile is picking up the sound that is coming as usual all through my house and will go all day. And sometimes they even had work going last night, which is very unusual, just down the end of the street. That was so that when I come out, I was aware that when I heard unusual patrol neighbour going out, see how they stop? Now they're stopping and backing in. Can you see it? Look, see that all is staged, because see how that pretended, see how that back in front of me, that patrolling neighbour right next to me here. See, I'm completely surrounded basically. I'm going to get sympathy here, and I'm going to just, but look, I'm laying it on the line here, and I don't care what people think, because I could be gone tomorrow. That's how I feel, because things are closing in. Of course they close in, and then sometimes you have a respite too. But I'm just going to say, did you see how that car stopped there? That neighbour stopped there and then back. But that was because the car was coming down. That's what it looked like. But it's all staged. This happens every day, where you have this convergence around you, where cars pull in, back out, right in front of you, always swirling around you to where your sight and sound is always engulfed by either the sound of the vehicles or the sight of them, usually both. But you see, that looks natural, but that's because it's a control matrix. That is all staged, all planned. That is not just coincidence that when I come out here, see this one here, this one of the matrix just gonna stand on the street all day. Now we have another two coming up to pretend as though they're doing work. See, look, can you see? But either way, there's no point in me showing. I wonder if the sound's coming out. See, it's a different sound today. Every day it's a different sound coming from all this work. But look, you've got one lot of work going on opposite, but they've stopped that today. Notice how, that's another thing too, like this is supposed to be all ongoing work, but see, they stage it to where they've got like 3 lots at least, 4 the other a week ago, going on completely around me, like neighbour, like alongside of you, right in front, right next door to right in front. Then there was the one another door down that pulled down the whole front of the place. It's now all finished, so it looks as though it's legitimate. Of course it's legitimate work, but it's all making an incredible noise while it's doing, sending the vibration into my ears. This is it. Here we have a patrol vehicle. See how slow it's going? And what is it going to do? Is it going to pull in front of me? Of course. Patrol staged control vehicle. Patrol staged person over there. Little lady in the hat. Going to stay there all day probably. Pretending that they're guarding the work thing. Although they don't do it every day. See, this just depends on whether I come out. See how, look at this vehicle, look what it's doing in front here. This does not belong here. This vehicle has no purpose at all. It will eventually just pull out and go down the road. But this is what you have to deal with this patrol control system every day. Can you see it? Oh look, I'll have to open the door just so you can see the lights. Notice how it's got, I just turned the bright red lights off. Now it's actually going to stop and get out and pretend to just, look at all this around me. Have a look. Big truck there, and see the patrol. Now he's going to come down and pretend to talk to those. Look at that bloody thing going there. Can you see it? I don't want to go down because they've got a fence there, and also I'm intimidated. And I am, even though I'm filming, I am intimidated. Can I see that? Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good that they've come right up to the front so that I can film it today, whereas normally they're further down the back, but the sound is just as loud because you can make any sound you like. Why don't they take their garbage tins in and give me back my garbage tin? And why don't they stop demolishing the front of my garden? The only reason they don't take those dilapidated little plates is because they know that would be obvious theft, but they don't mind coming and taking all the green away. As soon as it's starting to grow back, they demolished all that only a day ago. every time it starts to come green, because they know I come out and like the green, because let's face it, a little bit of nature is all I've got, and you know, they won't even let you have a few weeds. That's how desperate and anti-life these artificial ones that are all around are. That's an artificial one over there, standing, walking, you know. They all are, because they wouldn't be doing it otherwise. They wouldn't be part of it. That truck is just going to stay there. See, there's no purpose there. Anyway, they can see me filming, don't forget. So what, they're not going to like that, because I haven't done it for a bit, because it goes on. But when I get really desperate and I think maybe I won't be here tomorrow, and I know that sounds dramatic, but it is how I feel sometimes. It's not how I feel in myself, it's because when I see the matrix all around me and they're threatening you with so many things, which I don't mention in the videos, most of the things that they're threatening, I'm only trying to show the matrix at a physical noise, sound level, and at a sight level, but the sight level is very hard to show. See, if you see a van pulling in, but that's as soon as I come out the door, don't forget. But also, all the vehicles on the road make much more noise than what they are supposed to around me. Whether they do in other areas to other people or not, I don't know. I assume that anyone who is a real person, when I say a real person, different to the artificial ones are a force that combine. They know they're a control system, but they pretend to be random, innocent, caring. When I say caring, because they act out everything. They actually usually overdo it. They copy the human beings to such an extent that they appear to be more human than human. They are usually your most caring, considerate people. Some of them find it hard to do it for very long, but when they're in the presence of another human being, that's when they put on the jam. That's when they put on the act. They only show their dark, real side behind closed doors to anyone they can get away with it with, like myself. Like, although I'm filming this, basically it proves nothing, so they get away with it every day to where I'm surrounded. You know, this is not just at personal levels. With some people, they just put on the personal level, but they don't bring in the whole army, shall we say. Because that's what it really is. If you're looking at a whole suburb with massive numbers that are surrounding people, patrolling, doing false work, bringing noise into your house, bringing noise into your eardrums everywhere you go on the street, every day of the year, that is an army of controllers. They are like a plainclothes police force. They look like civilians. They look like work people. They look like all the normal activities that you'd see, except that with the only reason I'm trying to show is that there is an astronomical, unusually large amount of work that goes on around me every day, wherever I go, all the time. All the time. I emphasise that. It's not like you get any peace. It might appear, I can't always show it, because when they turn off the sound, like then they will turn on the sight show. But the sight show to most people, if I film it with a mobile phone, just looks like cars. I can't film that those car lights are in my eyes. I can't film that the sound of those vehicles are louder than what they used to be. I'm going away because I can hear a neighbour pulling a garbage tin in front, so I don't want them to hear. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is, see, that was a distraction because I was on a roll. Can't have to say that. I can hear that bin going up the side, even low. I've actually got a bit of stuff in my ears so that in case I go out there, because I don't want to get tinnitus if I actually go out there with the sound. Even low, the sound actually is almost as bad in the house. In fact, in a way, when they have those jackhammers going like they did all day yesterday, and they probably will bring them on as soon as I turn the mobile off. They've got sound going now, but I don't know if the mobile's picking it up. It's a different sound. See, they use different machinery and they hit you with different sounds. It's almost as though they're trying to find out what is the most annoying or how the sounds will affect you. Of course, they probably have a good idea of how these sounds and frequencies do affect human beings. But because each person, they might not fully understand, they're basically seeing how far can we push the person, and without it being, well, like I say, it's a program against human beings that is supposed to be undetectable by anyone. It's like the perfect crime, isn't it, really? They're trying to get away with things undercover. Everything's undercover. It's out in the open, but as that old saying goes, or what I picked up in recent times, it's hidden but in plain sight. So everyone can see it, but they don't see it the way it really is. But also, they don't realise that it's around real people. So if it's plane going over now, another distraction, you see. Just pointing this out because that's the matrix, that's the control patrol matrix. Because that is a distraction while I'm talking. And it makes me aware that I'm always in this control matrix or control system that's around me, whatever you want to call it, but it's essentially where a large group of people with very large numbers converge around real life people, real life humans. They are the artificial ones. They are your advanced artificial ones that mimic, copy, pretend, emulate. I'm using the words. In other words, they are a carbon copy of most human beings. You could use different words for those. They're like replicas. Like in that movie Blade Runner, they called them replicants. Except that in Blade Runner it was different to the real reality, where they act like just very average, normal human beings that want the same things as real human beings. And they do want you, all right. They're obsessed with wanting the real human beings, but only to get them to trust you so they can take you down. At a mental and physical and every level. They will do it all covertly, all to where you don't realise it, to where other people think they are the good guy more or less, and that you are the problem, or that you have the issues, or that you are not as good as them, basically. That's the name of the game, is suppressing the real life and them elevating themselves to where they have control over not only you, but over everyone else, to where everyone is on side with the artificial ones, and basically either look down on the real humans, or might even see them, as in my case, where they convince people to actually turn against you. Because the fact that I would say, when I say the fact is that there could even be some real life that may not be on side, they may be unintentionally siding with the artificial ones, as I have done in my life. In other words, to where you can't tell the difference. How can you? When I'm watching a movie, I believe those actors more than real people. I cry when I watch a sad movie. It's the same thing. You're believing that performance. You think that the performers are more real than the real deal. And that is the name of this matrix control game. That's me putting it smartly, as though I'm on top of it. But I'm on a lot of extra energy, which they are draining out of me even as I make this video, because I'm putting so much effort into the video and trying to override this sound that is coming into my ears while I'm making this video. So that means that that's a distraction, so I shouldn't be doing it as well as what I want to. You see, that's the whole purpose. But I'm talking loud and more forcefully because of it. So therefore, I feel that while I'm making the video, I'm getting on top of it. But that's only because it's like this could be your last breath. That's over-dramatising, because I will continue to do it if I can, when I can. And as I get sort of motivated to, or moved to, or forced to. So they're trying to force you to where you sink into depression, which you do. And also they preoccupy you with all these games so that you can't do things, so that you feel it's hopeless and you don't want to, the same as myself. And I think it is hopeless, but I still do it anyway, because only because it's a bit of an outlet. It's like frustration. If you're frustrated with something, you have to express it to someone. I can't express it to a real human being because there isn't one to listen, because they're all on side with the artificial ones at this point. So I can only talk into a technical device, a mobile phone, to get it off my chest, knowing that, maybe no one hears it. And so therefore I'm getting it off my chest, but I'm not getting the support. So if you don't get support in your real life, and when I say in your real life, because even talking to this mobile, if I talk into this mobile and supposing someone listens and they're on the other side of the world and they feel sympathetic about it because they may be in a similar circumstance, or they may agree with some of this, I hope that, I'm not sure what happened there. I might be running out of space. I better try and play some videos. See, this is the thing. I haven't got enough space on the mobile, unfortunately. I've lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry, but see, that's what happens. See, don't forget the technical device. Like I say, talking into a technical device, a mobile, it's no support to me, because you need support in your reality around you. It's only a slight psychological support if someone on the other side of the world sent a message and said, oh yes, I understand that, but it doesn't change your predicament. You have to have the real physical support, not the fake support that you get from the artificial android beings that are all around, because they will pretend to be your friend, even though you know they ain't, because you see the signs. Even in the past I saw the signs, but I don't really have any close friends, so that didn't bother me. But but when they become when they get really desperate in this end time like they are now, where they've become a total convergent control patrol force around you, a destructive, united energy, you could say, it is a big problem, and it is intimidating, and you're stuck in it and you don't know how to get out of it, basically. You're hoping that there will be some possibility of finding a way out of it, or you're not going to change the minds. They will only pretend to be on side. If they're exposed, then they will become your friend, or pretend to be your friend. This is how this game works. It's all about, them keeping their survival. They are, as been stated, survival machines. So they will play any game as needs be at any given time for survival. They always try to be your covert, deceiving friend that pretends to be your friend, that is really deceiving you because they secretly dislike you intensely and secretly only play in your energy, or play in your space, in other words, to get your negative vibration out of you. They endeavour to bring you into feeling bad. So then they extract and enjoy and feel good receiving the negative energy that you send out. They know that you're capable of positive. When they see you with positive energy, or even just normal living where you would just not be really down and depressed or angry, that sort of thing, they if they are pretending to be nice, shall we say, they will act as though that is fine, whereas secretly inside they're burning up with intense anger and resentment towards you for that, because that's not what makes them feel good. That would be like a real human being around someone who was always verbally angry towards them, always abusing them, always criticising, always hitting out at them. That's how they really feel, and that's when they're over. That's when they've got you trapped. They will expose their true hand. But while they have to play in this reality and don't want to expose themselves, because if all these people really showed what they were really like, you would be looking at monsters everywhere, all around. But they can't do that because they know then real people would turn on them, and real people do have power if they're awake, and if they have more than one person that is completely surrounded and isolated like myself. But if you can get that support, then they feel very threatened. Then they will go and run and hide until they can figure out some plan or some strategy, some other way to take you down, to defeat you. Because it's essentially that, I was going to say this before, I got it when I was hours ago when I was thinking, but I couldn't put it into words. But at a spiritual level, or at a mental psychological level, from a human being's point of view, this kind of reality from the day you come into it or from the day you're born is really more about like being brought into the worst sort of world or reality. In other words, to where things that, this is looking on the bright side, but also looking on the negative side, by the way. So I'm trying to make sense of something that appears to be totally negative and trying to see some possibility to it. In other words, that's what I'm trying to say here, but I'm not doing it well. From the day you're born, you are like brought into the world, like with a lot of things taken from you, where you're at a limited, the matrix or what's around you from the day you're born will desire and will set up situations and things in your environment to limit you as much as possible, so that you will not be your normal, fully functioning self. And a big car just beeped its horn outside, even though it won't come out. That means that that's true, that you are limited, they desire the matrix one. So you're put into this matrix of this anti-life technical being's reality, populated by play human beings, what I call dolls. And this was reiterated to me only yesterday when I watched half of this little movie after the sound had stopped, I might add. And in that movie, the fellow was talking about how he was looking for a doll because he saw this woman that he really was crazy in love with as a doll. And that's exactly like the artificial ones. But what I'm saying is that was in a movie that was made many years ago. But it was reflecting exactly what was going on in my mind at the time, and what has been going on. See, what I'm trying to say is everything around me is artificial. The TV screen, the entire internet, the entire computer. It's not just a computer program around me in the real world, but also on what I know is a technical device, the computer on my screen, that nothing, very little on there is real, apart from the odd person like myself that might talk into a mobile. But that's only one in, a billion or something. So I don't know how many stuff is on the computer, but what I'm saying is everything on there is basically of the God entity's controlling force, controlling belief system, controlling system, matrix that's around people. but everything that is on the computer is also the same as what's around me. What's around me looks